Chapter 2, or Fear. Coldness crept into the air gradually, and then suddenly the wind was frigid. To keep warm, my siblings and I clustered together like we were still in our sacks. We left our colony in search of food, but as the days grew shorter, we found less and less to consume. For 3 days, we found nothing. It seemed that the humans didn't venture out as much when it turned cold. They were the source of whatever scraps we found alongside the road, flung from their moving things with wheels, but the number of moving things along our route grew few and far between. As our bellies gurgled, we watched and waited for the humans to fill the bowls. Instead, they seemed in a hurry to go in and out of their brick building. None of them glanced our way. There were about 30 of us in our colony at that point, and we were all hungry. The sounds of our hunger pains should have flooded the humans' ears and made them remember us. But they rubbed their hands as puffs of air escaped their mouths and hurried past us as though we weren't there. Every so often, a human would leave the building, a white stick dangling from its lips, and light the tip with a flame. As the stick blew foul-smelling air, I stared at the human, willing it to fill our bowls. I was so hungry, it was hard to stand upright. I wanted to lie down and sleep, but too many others in our group had gone to sleep hungry, never to get back up again. I wanted to stay awake, hoping to feel the days grow warm again. On the 4th day without food, I was awakened by a familiar rustling. I must have fallen asleep without realizing because the last I remembered, the moon hovered above in a starless night sky. Now the sun was taking its place. Stretching, I rose and I heard a human filling the bowls. Many in our colony rushed forward but stayed a safe distance away. The human had one of the white things hanging from its lips, grunting and grumbling as it poured kibble and water. The minute it entered the brick building across from where we'd gathered, we all rushed forward to get what we could. There were hardly enough bowls for all of us, but we clamored anyway, those of us who could anyway. I looked over my shoulder and saw a few still asleep. Their ears didn't prick or flutter at the sounds of the colony feeding, and I wondered if they would ever wake. I turned back to the bowls and tried to squeeze in for my share, but I was small, smaller than my siblings and most of the colony, and could not push my way through the wall of bodies. I moaned. I was so very hungry and wanted just one bite. One bite only, I told myself, maybe 2. I could hear the dreaded clang the bowls made when they were being licked completely clean. What if the bowls aren't filled again? I didn't think I could stand another 4 days without eating. I didn't see my siblings. I hoped they had better luck than me and were eating their fill. I spied Mother's familiar tail, the tip of it stubbed and frayed. I called for her, but she didn't turn from the bowl to look at me. I went to her, bumping into a body much bigger and scruffier than mine. She turned to me, green eyes narrowed into slits, and hissed. Crouching low to the ground, I slunk closer to Mother and called out again, frantic for her to notice my desperation. She didn't turn to me, and I smelled the food, heard the crunching of kibble, and I feared I would miss my chance. I reached out and touched Mother's tail. She turned around, teeth bared, flakes of kibble falling from her whiskers. I shrank back and called her again. She looked at me, and I know she recognized me, but still, she pulled back a paw and swiped me so quickly I didn't know it had happened until I felt a searing pain. Half of the world was covered in red. Screaming, I fell backwards. The pain was localized, my left eye only, but it radiated throughout my body like a burn. I cried, but no one turned to look at me. I could hear the crunching at the bowls. I was surrounded by the others, but felt so alone. I dragged myself over to a body. Both of my eyes were unseeing, the right one squinted up. Even in my agony, I felt the body of someone who had gone to sleep forever. The body was cold and it smelled bad, worse than any of us on our worst day. I lay against it for company. It was a small comfort. I lay like this for days. I smelled my siblings, even Mother came near me. Despite my cries, they walked away. My left eye was gone. I knew this because I practiced opening one lid and then the other. The right eye could still see, but I was hungry and still in a considerable amount of pain. I needed help. No one came to me. I fell asleep again and was certain I would go to the same place the body beside me had gone. I hoped that wherever it was better than this place.